Hi there, and welcome back to the Aging Grace podcast. My name is Andrew Blake, your host, and today we're exploring a different but equally power side of healthy aging, creativity. And my guest is Julia Antimirova, the founder of Arting Around. It's a program and a studio that helps people of all ages reconnect with creativity, expression, and play through the arts. And Julia has an incredible story, from her own artistic journey to building a space where painting, drawing, and creating becomes tools for stress relief, joy, and even better brain health. And here's the thing, when we talk about longevity, we often focus only on exercise, nutrition, and sleep. But creativity is arguably just as vital. It improves mental health, sharpens memory, and gives us an outlet to stay vibrant at every stage of life. And so I am extremely happy with the conversation I had with Julia, and I cannot wait to share it with you. And in our conversation, we talk all about how reconnecting with creativity can transform not just your free time, but your energy, resilience, and overall outlook on life. Now, before I dive in, I just want to quickly mention I'm launching my brand new group fitness program in late October, early November, and it's designed to help you get stronger, move better, and build energy that lasts. And you can sign up now for the waitlist at BlakeyBreakthrough.com. Again, that's BlakeyBreakthrough.com. So let's get into it. Welcome, Julia. Today we've got Julia, founder of Arting Around. She is a multimedia artist and artpreneur. So tell us about the studio. When did you first kind of get into doing the art studio? Before that, you were doing advertising and somehow you got into art. So what is Arting Around?
Hello, and thank you for a beautiful introduction. And that's a beautiful question because my journey up until now definitely was not a straightforward, clear, linear path. It was pretty massive adventure, and I was a very creative child, a very creative teenager. I used to be involved in all possible arts and crafts. And then, well, when the adulthood comes, you sort of choose a different path. That's what happened. I pursued economics, pursued marketing. So that's exactly where I ended up for the next many years, like 7, 8 years. So came to Canada from Ukraine. That's where I was born and raised. So I came to Canada to continue my education and built a great career. And you're absolutely right. I was working in advertisement. I was working in marketing for big brands, for agencies. I was doing massive campaigns. I think it looked great from the outside, but eventually I felt very unhappy. And I had no answer why, because by that time I had a very long break from art and I had zero clue what it is that I need to be doing. So I've started because I felt so unhappy, and at one point I got desperate enough. I've started trying all possible things. So I've started actually with recording a YouTube channel, and it was called Entrepreneurship and Pierogis, because I was hunting on all the possible networking events in Toronto with all the startup guys, and I was looking for somebody who I find interesting, and I would invite them over. I would feed them with pierogis and ask questions.
Oh, no way. Come on.
Yeah.
That was like the original Hot Wing. Like the original Hot Wing stuff.
Don't even try searching for that. I was doing it on my phone, whatever. So you know what? If there is an excuse, I need a better setup, whatever. I was doing it on my phone. It didn't look great, but I was doing it. And it lasted not for too long. It lasted for a couple months. I realized that, okay, what's next? Then I've tried pursuing music, because music also was a part of my path back then. And I've spent all my teenage years performing and singing. So actually, music was that first thing that pushed me outside of my usual corporate routine. And first time I quit my corporate job. I'm saying first time because I quit them many times. And not always I quit. I was also laid off. So it was mutual. First time I did it was for music. And it happened before the pandemic. And it was a bad timing. And I decided that I'm going to be a full-time musician right before the pandemic. So as you can imagine how it went.
Right.
It lasted for some time, but I gave it all. But still, something was off. It was impossible to monetize it at that point to the extent that it could feed me.
Right.
There was no opportunities. It was pandemic time. What are you talking about? So eventually, somehow, very randomly, and I love that story. I'll show you the painting in the studio. One night, it was early pandemic, I was walking by the dollar store and I saw a canvas. And that time I didn't paint for maybe like 10 years. Like I had a very long break from art. Right. And I saw that canvas and I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, why not? It was a very random, intuitive thought. And I came home, I put that canvas in front of me and I had zero clue what to do with it. I could only maybe look for, because I had a good foundation. Like I did it, I studied it, but I just had a very long break. I could only Google a photo, Google a picture, and try to imitate. So it looks something like that. So that's what I did. And that is exactly that painting with a microphone. I actually recently put it up on the wall because that painting changed everything. Because that one little painting, I never stopped afterwards. I really never stopped. I got obsessed. I spent all my nights and all my days relearning, redoing. I got obsessed. I was painting. I was trying different mediums. I was doing that and that. And I would go to sleep thinking, oh, I want to try clay. Oh, I want to try resin art. Oh, I want to do that. I still had other job. So it was a side thing. But that was the massive beginning of a massive obsession. And I spent next years retraining completely, relearning, repracticing, rebuilding. It wasn't very smooth. Lots of mistakes, lots of conflicts, lots of moments when I was not understood, when I was not linear. But I don't know how, but because I must give credit to myself. I was very, very curious, very consistent, very confident in what I'm doing. Not in the result, not confident in it's the best iron ore, but confident that I have to be doing it. That's the most important part. So eventually, with the years, I've reached the point where I started showcasing my art because I found it more of my niche for that time. So I started doing lots of shows, lots of markets. I've ended up selling my art, selling all over, shipping it to all possible countries. I was invited to teach, to host a workshop. And what was another breakthrough moment, because when I had my first workshop, I remember it very well. I was invited to go to Cambridge. I didn't drive. It was 2.5-hour commute in wintertime. I had a luggage. I had 2 go buses, but I went there. There was a massive, massive breakthrough moment because that's when I realized that that's a whole world that I didn't know, but I love it. And that's when I've started step by step teaching and building up the community. So that eventually, that's how Art in Around was born. It was born as a result of my ongoing, continuous, very consistent exploration, curiosity, and trying to find my own answers. What is it that would make me happy? And how can I express myself? And it resulted in me creating the space where we create opportunities for everyone else to have same chances to pursue themselves, to pursue their creativity, to give it a try, to relax, to give it a shot. So it's been 3 years. Yeah, it's been a little bit more actually than 3 years since I've got the key, since the studio opened its doors in Toronto. And right now we have the largest selection of mediums in Toronto. There is no other place that offers this massive of a variety. And it makes me feel very proud.
Should be. Yeah, wow.
I am proud. And it started as just my journey. And now there is the team behind this. So now it's not just me. But I think we're going to talk about this later, obviously, in the conversation. But those 3 years, it was also a very, very, very non-linear path. Now it's my one and only project. It's my full-time job. But it wasn't like that. And this past 3 years was a very good roller coaster.
I bet. And so when it comes to art and its role on us in terms of, stress reduction and just feeling good, a lot of people, they say art is their happy spot. That's where they can just go and to just be quiet. And for me, I find it really, really hard to...
Because you haven't came to my class yet.
True. I'm coming though. I find it really hard to just sit still. I mean, like for myself, I'm running all day long. I'm going. And to just sit in a spot and just be quiet and just focus on art is really, really difficult. Why is it so hard for me? I'm not an anomaly. I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are like, they go to sit down and they're like, they're thinking all day and then they sit down to think about what they're going to draw or what they're going to do. And they're like, they just blank.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for some people to just sit still? It's a big question.
I think it's a big question. And I know we spoke about this before starting the podcast, but it's a big question. And I think a lot of it is because, as I said, we live in a very hustle-oriented culture. We live in the world where you got to run all the time and everything pushes you to run. Because what happens if you stop? Absolutely right. You end up with your thoughts. And I feel like this is great strategy to avoid somehow, right?
Yep.
Because then you got to keep on running and you never stop and seem all right. So I think in any form of creativity, and I'm not talking just about painting, any form of self-expression, what it does, it puts you in front of yourself and it makes you face yourself, right? How do you feel right now? What's going on in your head right now? It forces you to pause. Of course, it depends what kind of art or creativity or approach you choose. Is it the approach focused purely on result? So you're like, okay, go. I have to repeat these exact steps. And then it becomes even a more neurotic thing, because I've seen it before that instead of being present and focused in the moment, it becomes a very neurotic moment when we are obsessing about how good or how bad it's going to be, right?
That's me.
Yes. And that's what prevents many of us to even start or even give it a chance, because then you start and you want it to be perfect. I can't speak for everyone, like I can only speak for myself, but I don't care how it's going to turn out. Very often, final result is the end. It's not the most important thing, the process. The process is what matters. Of course, I feel there is a nice hormonal splash when after the process you see something that makes you happy in the end, that gives you an immediate reward. It's easier. But the real reward is the process. When you sit with it. And why do you have a blank space when you start something? I think it's normal because there is no skill, there is no practice. When I was coming back to art and I saw canvas, I had a blank space. That's why I need to spend half an hour searching for an image that I like online to try to imitate it. Creativity is not a talent. I generally don't believe much in talent. It's a skill. So there is a blank space because there is no skill of generating something to pour on that blank space, but it's a skill that can be very easily developed, just as strengthening your muscles, right?
Yeah, true. I feel like even just you mentioning a blank slate or something like that. I know I've gone to, the guided paint and sips and stuff like that. And
so you went there and you did...
No. It was a long time ago. It was years and years and years ago.
Yeah. That's what they all say.
So I went to one probably like 6 or 7 years ago before the studio was here, because I'd come here now.
Now I forgive you.
Yeah. So I went to a guided paint and sip. I don't feel anxious thinking about that at all. I'd be like, they just tell me what to do. But the thought of sitting down to a blank canvas where I to figure out what I'm making or where I'm putting, the paintbrush and stuff like that, that makes me feel.
And it's supposed to. And that's why places like ours exist. And the more places like ours exist, the better it gets, because that's why we're here, because it is very, very intimidating to start from where. I don't know where even to, how would you know where to start, what to do? That's why there is that place where you enter and you are being guided through whatever it is that you want to be guided. Yeah, because it is very intimidating to start from nowhere and having zero clue, okay, what's the next step? That's why coming here, I feel like there might be a resistance from someone just to come, because they know that will expose them, right, to maybe some sort of discomfort. You are a beginner. It's never easy to be a beginner. It sucks. Being a beginner means that it's not going to look good enough. The idea in your head is going to be very different from what it turns out. Being a beginner is very, very uneasy on all of us. Even now, when I learn new mediums, I must say I've developed a certain level of tolerance to this, because my mom was visiting me in the past 3 weeks, right? She came from Ukraine and she was helping me a lot in the studio. And I was like, okay, mom, let's do all the possible experiments. Let's do all the things I wanted to try. I wanted to learn the silicone. I wanted to learn that. And my mom has nothing to do with art. She just wanted to do everything with me, right? So we had so many arts. For example, our first attempt with the silicone, when I was making a mold, it was a very big fail. We wasted a lot of supplies. We wasted time. And I saw how sad my mom got because she's like, no, that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. Look, you had to do that. And it was a very, very natural reaction. And I know that's just expected. It didn't bother me at all. The fact that it didn't turn out. Okay, very good. Very good. It didn't work out. Nice. I'll see what changes I can do next time. So with the time, I just developed the sense of tolerance towards trying new things, because while we offer I don't know how many medium here, 20, I don't know, maybe more, how many different type of classes we have. So I had to be, and I'm not necessarily teaching all of them, but I was, and I can, and sometimes I am. So I had to expose myself to this very massive vulnerability of being zero somewhere and walking the path. Oh, fuck, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. Next time. And actually, first attempt failed. Second attempt, it worked. My mom was so happy. Everybody was so happy. Really. So it's a muscle.
Yeah.
It is a muscle.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm hearing you say all these different things, about it's the process. It's, sometimes you just got to show up. And I feel like even though we're talking about art, so much of this is transferable to all different areas of our life, right? Of just showing up. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be messy, but kind of being there for the process and just like showing up for yourself. And I know that a lot of the people that kind of listen to the podcast are over 40. And so when it comes to, over 40, over 50, over 60, some people are talking about retirement. Some people aren't close, wherever they are is fine. But one of the things that I think that some people struggle with is identity. And when you've been focusing on raising kids and now your kids go off to university, or, now you've got an empty house, or what, maybe you're done with your job. And it's like even asking yourself the question, okay, well, what do I like to do? And people are like, I have no idea. I have no idea what my identity is anymore. And so I feel like art is something that people can always come to, and it's always something that can teach you something about yourself as well. So, what role do you think art has in identity? Again, this very big question, a very general question, but how does somebody kind of get started with art and figuring out if that's something that, they want to make a part of their life?
Maybe we can shift from saying art to creativity in this case.
Sure.
Because I like word creativity because it brings it back more towards you, right? About your self-expression.
Interesting.
Whatever you call the result, doesn't matter. Craft, art, whatever. So creativity. I think that's even though we underrate creativity as a skill, and very often when students come, and especially like from a big corporative, exactly.
Yeah.
So there is a team building, and I always start with a question, what makes you creative, guys? And the truth is, creativity lays far beyond painting or knitting. It's way wider than that. It's how you make a breakfast. It's how you walk. It's how you take a photo. It's how you help your child with the homework. It's how you plan a trip. It's how you plan the workout routine. Creativity goes way beyond.
Deeper than just art.
Way deeper. So how important it is foundational. And I think we just don't give credit. We don't call it creativity because we don't always connect those things we do on the daily life with creativity. But I think it's integrated into every single part of our lives. We just don't name it. We just don't call it. Creativity in relationships, creativity in business, in work, creativity in routine, creativity in raising kids, and all of that. So it is foundational. It is absolutely foundational. What about more like a crafty side of a creativity, right? Because that makes it more obvious. And I do believe that when it might be hard to be aware of that part of yourself, it might be hard to think, because lots of people come say, I don't creative at all. So exposing yourself to those crafts, they open up a little bit more awareness and your own eyes on your side that is creative. You actually start noticing it, that I am capable. I actually like it. I can come up with new things. Oh, I can't believe I made it. And then the person lives with a very slight shift, little, maybe even invisible, but it's there. So exposing yourself to the actual crafts and arts or any form of self-expression, I think they just bring up all of those other forms and ways and moments when your inner self, your inner child that we all have is being creative, and we just don't see it and we just don't acknowledge it. So they don't get credits. Why would they even say hi if they don't have credits?
That's deep. And again, I can only speak for myself here, but I know that sometimes men also struggle with getting, I would say, that was an eye roll. There was an eye roll.
Yeah, that was an eye roll.
With embracing their creative side. And so how do we do that?
Oh my God. Yeah. You know what? I don't want to sound like men do this, women don't do this, but I think men are the winners in avoidance. No? Am I wrong?
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I would own that.
It's a very common coping mechanism for the male part of the society to, how do you process emotions? How do you process feelings? Very often it's, I'm just going to get so busy. So then when I come home, I just get so tired and I fall asleep. And then next day it starts all over again and things are great.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm saying it from a personal experience. I might be 10 times wrong, but that's what I observe. So what do I know? So avoidance is something that prevents you from seeing yourself. And that's what creativity does, right? Self-expression. Yeah. It puts you in front of yourself.
Kind of forces you into the spot a little bit.
It puts you on the spot. There is a massive stigma and there is a massive resistance of man and creativity, man and art. That's why men come rarely. They often come with their partners to do some art activity together. I think the first step is just to become aware of it. Hey, what am I doing? Why am I running away from something?
Right.
What am I scared to see in it? Right. Because when guys come to the studio, it's a very interesting point, actually, because we have events for couples. We have like pottery date nights for couples, right?
Nice.
So it's awesome. Very often that it was the girl who was like, there was the woman who was like, yeah, let's go. And he comes.
That's right.
Because he has to.
Yeah.
And guess what? In the end of the class, he is the one who is so excited and so happy and so proud about what he made. And it looks great.
Right.
It looks great. Look at all those pottery pieces. Half of them done by, so like, it's all done by couples, most of it, right? They're so happy. They're so excited because they allowed themselves to, for 2 hours, they played with clay. How weird it is. How impossible it is, right? And they were so happy.
Love that.
Because guess what? Men are also human beings that have creativity, that have self-expression needs, that are vulnerable, that have feelings, right? So there has to be an outlet.
Yeah.
So whatever that outlet is, I think it's important to acknowledge that, hey, I need an outlet. Yeah. And then to start the search and to beat this freaking stigma that I'm not going to go to art class and paint because that's not very manly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is very manly, actually.
Even more so.
Yeah, it is it makes you much more even on the manly scene.
Yeah.
Because that shows how emotionally capable, emotionally aware.
Yeah. And I feel it just allows people to be more present, not just, in the moment, but again, at home, cooking dinner or going on a date night with your partner. Just
presence is a very difficult word, apparently. Presence is very difficult. I'm starting to realize it. I'm starting to observe it right now that being present is a luxury. It is actually a luxury. And it's a difficult luxury to offer and to get.
Yeah. Luxury, how so?
It's rare.
Yeah.
Because presence requires you to sit in very uncomfortable moments. Because presence is not just joyful running around the grass field and having a picnic, right? Presence is having a very uncomfortable moment, is having a tough conversation, is handling big emotions, is being responsible for your choices, sometimes maybe not being a good person, sometimes being a good person. All of that is presence. Yeah. It apparently costs a lot. It does cost a lot. And well, it goes back to the same thing. Art requires presence. It costs a lot. And maybe that's why we as females, we have different processing mechanisms. We have different way to process feelings, emotions. We need to talk about it. We need to cry about it. Yeah. We need to paint it. We need to sing it. We need to, all of those things. We have a very different processing and coping mechanism. So for us, maybe being present comes, I don't want to say easier, but it comes maybe a little bit more natural, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the gap happens.
Yeah, interesting. Because I feel like same thing. We need some sort of outlet, whether we're upset or when we're sad or when we're angry or whatever it might be. And I know for me that when I'm any of those things, for me, it's putting my phone on Do Not Disturb, putting my music on, and then going for a run. That's, my outlet. And so I feel like art can be something where it's another tool that we have to let ourselves kind of fully, feel, process, all of that stuff.
Creating art can be...
Should I say creativity?
Whatever.
Yeah, both.
Whatever makes us happy.
Yeah.
Well, there is lots of paintings in the studio, right? And there are lots of my paintings. Some of them are big, some of them are small. Most of them happen in the moments of massive emotional shifts. Most of them happen as a result of a big trauma or not trauma or something big happening in my life. So the process of making them, some of them took me weeks. And I was maybe crying when I was making it. I was maybe laughing when I was making it, right? So it is a form of processing it. And obviously, whatever medium you choose, it will be a different journey.
Right.
Maybe it's not even art and crafts, running. Great. As long as you find something that matches your persona and something that wakes up your inner child and that child feels seen and happy. And I must say, even though I am someone who talks about this and I'm someone who runs an art studio, it's not easy to be consistent for me either. It's not easy because it does. What I feel is also a little challenge, not maybe a little. Art and creativity requires some energy. It requires some free, open energy. You need energy to sit and make a candle. You need an energy to sit and make a sketch.
Right.
If you're squeezed to death, if you're completely squeezed, it's very hard to pull something out of you because you need to fill up your cup somehow before pouring out a side of that cup, before expressing yourself, right? So it does require an energy source. That's what makes it difficult, because lots of times we feel so squeezed and so exhausted that the only thing we want is just to, lay down or sit in a dark room and watch series. And I get it. And I find myself in this moment often. So I'm not, to be honest, I'm not as consistent as I used to be. I'm not as consistent as I want. Same. And it doesn't matter what I'm like. Yeah, I run an art school. I run a studio. So what I have the same challenge of not getting myself to the point when I'm so squeezed and empty because of life circumstances.
Right.
So I don't have the capacity to express myself and to reconnect with myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah, energy. And another expensive luxury.
Another expensive luxury.
Yeah.
Energy.
And kind of going back to what you said about presence being a luxury. And I think, by presence, I just mean, the ability to just sit, walk, whatever it is, but to be in the moment. And I feel like for presence, it also requires some sacrifice to get that. And I think that presence as a whole is something that we don't have enough, but not only we don't have enough of, but we don't make enough of it.
What do you mean by sacrifice? It requires a sacrifice.
For example, if I'm sitting at home watching a movie and sure, I'm being still, sure, I'm being quiet, but I wouldn't really say that I'm present. My head is elsewhere. It's not, it's in the moment. And so, that's just a little example, but the sacrifice would be, okay, I'm sacrificing my movie or my show to, either go for a walk and be still and be in my own thoughts and be in the moment, or, in an art or creativity sense, again, using that same example, sacrificing being at home watching a movie to be in a studio and being present and being still and working on something.
Well, I hear the word sacrifice often, and I always try to reframe it into the choice.
Okay.
Because why are you doing it? Right. If you're doing it to make yourself happy, if you're doing it because it's your value and it's your priority, then it's a choice. And I think, at least what I'm realizing based on my current background, maturing in general is understanding that, there are choices that you always make. And there is a limit to, I don't want to sound like, I don't want to say, everything has limits. But you do. You have limit of time.
Yeah.
You have just 24 hours, certain amount you need to give it to sleep. You have 7 days a week. You are limited.
Yeah.
You have certain time here. Maybe, I don't know, when you graduate from school and you rush it out and you think, I can go anywhere. I can make it work everywhere. And with the time when, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I've realized, okay, no, I've tried. No, you can't. And that's beautiful.
It's a big realization.
It's a big, no, you can't.
Okay.
And that's okay. And that's great, because that gives so much freedom to yourself. No, you can't be equally good in all the roles that you carry in this life.
Yeah.
Somewhere you're going to suck.
Yeah.
And you can't make time for everything. You have to make choices. So it's not a question of, I don't have time for this. It's just not a priority.
Yeah. And I feel like when it comes down to, like you said, choices versus sacrifice, it's choosing the priorities. And when we do have limited time, it forces us to kind of come to the conclusion of what our priorities are.
Yeah.
Right. Versus, again, trying to go do this and then go do that and go do that. And I know that there's been days where, I'll have plans on a Sunday or something like that. And I'll be trying to do 4 different things in that day. And then I end up upsetting everybody because
there you go.
I'm late or
because you're trying to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And in the end, nobody needs your sacrifices. Everybody needs your choice.
Yeah.
Your partner doesn't need you to tell them, hey, I sacrificed this for you.
Yeah.
No, because if your partner is a priority, it's a choice.
Yeah.
That's why
it's a choice you want to make.
It's a choice you want to make. So if you don't want to make the choice, don't even bother. So it's beautiful that, there are choices that we have to make. We have limit in a day. We have limit in our time, energy. Because also, unfortunately, with the time, you realize maybe you have less energy.
Yeah.
That's also another given. That's also another, you can obviously work on it, make yourself feel good. But in the end, there is a big freedom that comes out of your realization that, there are choices to be made. I can be good at everything. And in particular areas of my life, it's okay if I'm, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
So for anybody listening, what would you want a couple of takeaways to be from this conversation?
I don't know. We even didn't
It's a
speak just
lot.
about art or
Stress.
creativity.
We completely changed direction.
Yeah, we changed direction. Well, because art and self-expression is not the things that just stands by. It's a part of us. It's about of who we are, creativity, right? So the takeaway is that think about it today, what makes you creative? Don't rush into nothing. Try to unpack it. Try to think of the last time you did something differently, when you came up with a different solution, when, you came up with a new recipe.
Right.
Simple things like that. That is creativity. Try to catch the moment. Try to be aware. So then the more credit you give to your inner self, the more credit you give to your creativity, the more grateful it's going to be. And in a much bigger and richer ways, it will be getting out of you. Give yourself enough chances, because one chance is not enough.
Right.
One chance is not enough. It's very high possibility that it's not going to look good right away, that it's not going to turn out the way you want right away. And I'm sure it's like this with everything, right? With fitness, with sport, or with art. Once, not enough. And people who tell me, yeah, I'm just not good at this. You just didn't give yourself enough chances. So if you actually want to try and to pursue, prepare yourself that it might be a couple chances that you need to give it to.
Yeah.
But also, if it's not yours, it's all right to stop, right? Because once you give it enough chances and you still feel that, sometimes I don't finish paintings, and I'm not talking about paintings now. I actually don't finish paintings, but sometimes it's okay to not finish it, to just let it be half done.
Yeah.
Because it's just,
be okay with it.
I gave enough chances. It's okay.
Right. That's deep. Same thing. I hear you talking about the art, but I hear it in so many other spots in my life right now. That's great.
And I think what helped me in this art journey, I don't have this ability in all the areas of my life, unfortunately, yet. But here I give the only authority I have here is myself.
Right.
I don't need someone to tell me it looks good. I don't need someone to tell me, yeah, I think you should keep on going. That's why I'm very, very resilient to comments about it, to thoughts. When I lost the job, when I was laid off a year ago, and I had a choice of doing this full time or looking for another job, 99% of people told me, yeah, Julia, but you don't have like a safety net. Like, find a job while at the same time try to do this. 99% of people told me that I should do something different. But I had enough authority in myself to pursue this. So whenever it comes to this area of my life, I've built enough credibility for myself to listen to myself and to trust it. It's very, very difficult. And unfortunately, it takes time. It takes lots of moments when somebody hits you, mentally, like when somebody hurts you and when somebody criticizes you. But that's how that resilience happens. So building up your own authority on whether it looks good or not, whether you like it or not, over anyone else. Because very often people come to the class and they're scared to show it to their partners, to their families, to their moms, to their kids. They say, oh, I don't want them to see. Yeah, because they know that the wave might come their way. So try to enter this creative journey and self-expression with the idea that your own judgment is not enough. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anyone says. Your own judgment and joy is enough.
That's good. That's good. Without there's one comment I wanted to make on something you said, where it's kind of like people being afraid to show, something they've created to, their partner or their family or whatever. I feel like that also kind of comes down to like when somebody's in that situation, it is being vulnerable to show something that you've made or that you've created. And I feel like that's, going into, life in more general. It's like same thing when you put yourself out there, then it gives the opportunity to be hurt as well. Right.
100, because life can be painful.
Yeah. Amen to that.
And when you show something that you've created, it's like going naked on the street. It's the same feeling probably. I'm completely exposing myself. You might know nothing about me, but if you see like my big paintings, for example, my pieces, that tells more than I can tell you, probably. That is like me sitting naked on the street full of people. That's the level of exposure it gives me. And it comes from someone who actually went through a lot with this, because I had moments when even with my family, it was also not easy for them to digest all of this. And there was a moment when there was a massive scandal, fight. I didn't speak to them for a very, very long time. There was not enough acceptance. There was all of that. There was judgment. So I'm not saying it from a place where everybody accepted me. Everybody loved my art. Everybody loved what I'm doing. And it was just all blooms. It was not, right? So And that's exactly what helped me build this point from where I'm talking right now, this level of resilience. But it is very, very vulnerable. And again, if you know that you feel a little bit unsafe in certain communities, in certain interactions, be careful with exposing yourself. Not necessarily go and pour all of it out.
Yeah.
Be mindful, step by step. Don't expose yourself to very, aggressive environments up until you build the level of resilience. Start maybe, if, again, social media, we have social media now. Everybody hates it, but it's also a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to start having a private account, share little by little, invite only friends who appreciate, who support. Maybe eventually you're going to open it up to public, right? There has to be a level of readiness because everyone has an opinion. Everyone can tell you this is ugly. Do you know what happened last week? I want to share it because it was an extraordinary moment. I sold a piece of my art 4 years ago, maybe, at the show. It was a glass painting. It was a beautiful painting. So the person who bought it, they were very, very happy about it. I saw them next year at the same exhibit. They came and said, yeah, I love it so much. It's on my wall. I've been seeing that person in the neighborhood. They've been saying how much they love it. So it was great. So last week I get a message asking, hey, Julia, can I replace this art with something else? Or can I bring it to your studio? And unfortunately, it's not something it's done.
Yeah,
It's been 4 years ago. The art is yours. I have nothing to do with it. And I said, unfortunately, it's not something I can offer, to exchange or refund. And I woke up next day to a message saying, I'll put it in the garbage.
Yeah. Wow. Wild.
Great. Did it? Great. I didn't.
Yeah.
So what? But it's crazy.
Yeah.
The story is crazy, but I'm sharing this because it didn't really hit me.
Yeah.
Why? Because I understand that probably it's not really about me. It's not really about art. It's about that person.
That's right.
And very often social media or whatever, because people don't have the right outlet for things, they don't know how to let it out. They find you, or they find your page or your social media or your art as a place to pour all of this out, right?
That becomes their outlet.
That becomes their outlet. So that's what happened. And when you become open about what you do, you become a possible outlet for someone.
That's right.
Right? So I think if you want to be creative, if you want to pursue it as a hobby or as a side business, because I see so many people now who want to pursue it as a side business, like candle making, resin art. One of the major skills that you need to be building is not even how to make candles, but is how to be unbelievably confident in your own self, unbreakable self-confidence that wouldn't let these little things sink you.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Yeah. That was amazing. I'm going to say I really, really enjoyed this conversation. And usually when we're finishing a conversation, I like to end with kind of like a couple of silly questions. Not necessarily silly. I think I'm excited to hear what your first answer is. So you've got this studio. We're sitting in the studio right now. And you can invite one person, past or present, to come and do a piece of art with you. You sit, have a conversation, do art together. Who would that person be?
My granddad. He's no longer alive. He passed away. That would be the only, out of all possible and impossible.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my granddad.
Yeah.
He'd never been to my studio. He passed away not that long ago, but memories. I remember maybe 4 years ago, before the war started in Ukraine, I went home and they live in a town and they had a bunkie in their backyard. And I was like, yeah, I want to make a mural there. My granddad in his past 80s was like, yeah, I'm going to do it with you. So we spent days. I was wearing a respirator. He was carrying all the spray paints. I was spraying. He was filming me. He was yelling to everyone on the street, hey, it's my granddaughter. Yeah, she is here doing art for us. That moment was one of the most precious moments of all. And he would always ask, what painting are you working on? Is it big? It has to be a big one. So he was always, and because I was sketching when I was a child, I remember I made a portrait of my grandma when I was very small, 6, 7 years old. He never let it go. He kept it. He said, it's unbelievable. It's the best portrait on earth. So to be honest, yeah, there are maybe lots of great celebrities to bring over and to promote art in around. But in the end, I think that would matter the most to me. Making him see what it is right now and creating another memory that is precious. Because to me, the best moments with people that I love, they come within the process of co-creation. Whether it's with my parents, with my friends, it is the best memories I have is when we were creating something together. That's what makes it special.
Yeah.
So if I had another person to invite afterwards, maybe I'll think of somebody famous and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it would be my granddad.
Yeah, good one. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to end it on. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, learn more about your studio, I know
They must.
Yeah, they must. That's right.
Must.
They must.
They have no other way. If they still listen to this point and they haven't, I don't know, what are they waiting for?
What are they doing?
What are you doing, guys?
And so on Instagram, you're...
Yeah, we are reachable everywhere.
Okay.
Instagram is Julia_arting_around, and arting as a verb. I've invented that verb, ARTING around, and obviously the website artingaround.ca. And then, you know what? It's not that difficult to find us because hopefully I'm doing a good job online. And yeah, I'm just there. Wherever somebody wants to chat or share or ask or come and join us, we're there. And we're located in Toronto, Midtown Toronto, 5-minute walk from Eglinton Station. Very convenient. And, well, I'm always here to make it as smooth as possible, even for you when you finally decide to come.
That's right. One of these days, soon.
One of these days.
Soon.
Yeah,
ASAP,
sure.
ASAP. I promise.
You know how many people on my DMs tell me the exact same thing?
I'm coming. I promise. Soon. Well, thank you, Julia, for joining us. Really, really loved this conversation. Really, really enjoyed it. I think that's a lot of great takeaways, both about art and creativity, but also I think at a deeper level as well. So for this week, that's all we got today on the Aging Grace. And thank you, Julia, again for joining us. Julia, thank you so much for joining me today. I love how you've shown us that creativity, it's not just for artists. It's for anybody who wants to stay sharp, reduce stress, and bring more joy into their life. And I know that this conversation got quite deep. And so I want to thank Julia for joining me, embracing vulnerability, and really just having a really great discussion. And so thank you, Julia. You can find her on social media. Check her out. She's fantastic. And if you're ready to take your health and fitness to the next level, then don't forget my new group fitness program. It's launching at the end of October, beginning of November. And it's not just about quick fixes. It's about building strength, mobility, and confidence that actually lasts. So if you're interested in getting started with your fitness journey in a way that is safe, supported, and has an expert leading the program so that you know you're in great hands, then you're going to want to check out this program. We've got live workouts, weekly coaching, and a supportive community. And this program is going to give you the tools to finally feel in control of your health. Now, again, the waitlist is now open at BlakeyBreakthrough.com. Again, BlakeyBreakthrough.com, and there are limited spots available, so check that out. Make sure you sign up so you don't miss a chance to join us. Again, that's all I've got for you today on the Aging Grace, and I cannot wait to see you all next week.